All right, good afternoon, folks. It is 1:30 on the dot, at least according to my clock. We've got about 5 people. There's one still coming in. Just barely slipped in there. Still got about 4 people that generally show up. There's one right there. There's 2. All right, so only a couple people shy of having a full boat. So what we're going to do today is a couple things. We're going to get the side trim on the nightstand, and we're going to begin the process of making the drawer, okay? So we're going to start with the old side trim, okay? Let me see here. I may move that up just a hair. All right, so here we go. Oh, there's one more person trying to sneak in the back door. All right, so here we go. If you have questions at any point along the way, please put them in the chat, and I'll glance at it every once in a while to try and answer your questions, okay? All right, so we have everything we need here to mount the side trim. We have our side trim, obviously. 4 screws for each one. We've got 8 screws. We've got a drill. We've got some clamps. We're ready to rock it. Okay? So when we mount this side trim, we need to make sure that it is held tight to the side of the cabinet when we're driving the screw. Otherwise, it'll just push this away. We also need to hold it tight to the underside of the top, tight to the back of the face frame. So let's figure out a way to do that. We have these orange springy clampy thingies that we use for, and they are really springy. Okay, that'll hold it up there. They're very springy. And that will hold it tight to the back of the face frame. Okay, I'm going to lay it down, hopefully without breaking it. I'd hate to have to start over at this point. Okay, we'll get some clamps on it. There's going to be a screw right around there, and I need a little piece of scrap wood. Would be great. Just because. And I have a lot of scrap wood around here, so I'm bound to be able to find something. Right? That'll work right here. Because these particular clamps don't have as much of a throw on them. So we're going to set that guy right there. And I'm going to put it right here. All right, I'm going to put a clamp up here. Hold on a second, folks. This is not working the way it's supposed to. I need 2 short pieces or 1 thin piece. There's a thin piece right there. That might just work. That's all I need. Let's try that. Nope, that's too wide. Well, what do you know? We'll have to make one. Perfect. All right. I don't know why this is being difficult. That's what I needed. Stick that right there. All right, that's perfect. Get this one up here. Those. there's that one. All right, ready to go. We've got 2 screws down here underneath here. Piece of cake. One. Somebody last year said that sounded like a dentist drill. I don't think it sounds that bad. Maybe a little bit. And we'll get to the top. We want it. There's one. And there's 2. All right. Clamps off. All right, so there's one side. So my guess is that you simply cannot wait to see me put the other side on. That's what I'm thinking. All right, that's pretty good. Pops right in there the way it's supposed to. Once again, stiff. Get one there. And get one there. Lay it on its back carefully. Get a couple clamps here. There's 2. There's 3. How many is this? All right. 2 at the top. Good. Why am I counting out loud? Because it's lonely and boring in here right now. I talk to myself a lot. When there's nobody else to talk to, who do you talk to? Yourself. The nice thing about when you talk to yourself, you're really never wrong. Right? You don't just rationalize your thoughts one way or another. Here we go. Another. Well, you know, Yeah, last one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. We're getting there. All right. So there's our semi-completed cabinet. You can see this, the side trim actually does kind of add something to it. Kind of nice. All right. Let's take a look at what we have to do for drawers. Okay. So there's actually a separate set of plans. There you go, Noah. Lil oak screw wrap name and the little saplings. That's actually not bad. All right, so there's, oh, we got people trying to get in here. Tanner. Wow, that's the first time he's ever been here. And Sean. All right, so there's a separate set of plans for the drawer, okay? So we're gonna take a look at those right now, I think. All right, so this is what they look like. It's a single page, but it's front and back, okay? It's asking you to give some measurements, do a little bit of basic math, some written instructions on what to do, blah, blah, blah. Then a few more measurements to take for your drawer front itself, and I'll explain that in a second here. Okay, so this is the basic construction of the drawer. There's a front, a back, a bottom, and 2 sides, okay? There's a rabbet along the edge of the front and the back that accept these 2 sides. And there's a dado, a small 1/4-inch groove along the bottom edge of all 4 pieces on the inside that accepts the drawer bottom, okay? So, this is what's known as a false front drawer, okay? And what that means is these 4 pieces, the front, the back, the side, and the side, are made out of 5/8" thick particle board. Not the most attractive stuff in the world. In fact, that's why we painted the sides and the large opening of the nightstand, so we didn't have to look at it, okay? Problem is, we do not want to look at that as the front of our drawer. So we're creating a false front drawer. In other words, there's these front and back, side and side. Then there'll be a totally separate solid pine front that attaches to this, that covers up the particle board, okay? So let's get started on the drawer. So it wants some measurements from us, all right? I've got a sheet with me, the exact same sheet with me, and we're gonna take some of these measurements. We need to know the depth of our opening, the width of our drawer opening, and the height of our drawer opening. That's gonna give us the length of our sides, the length of the front and the back, and the width of all 4 pieces, or what will end up being our drawer height, okay? So here we go. Got my paperwork, got my pencil, got my tape. Okay, so it wants the depth of the drawer opening, okay? What it means by that, excuse me, we're gonna measure from the very back of the inside of the cabinet to the front of the face frame right here. I've got 12 inches, okay? 12 inches. It also wants the width of our drawer opening, face frame to face frame, here to here, 13 inches, okay? It also wants the height of our opening. Face frame to face frame, from here to here, 6 inches, all right? So we'll write that down, 6 inches. Then we do the math. So the depth of our drawer openings was 12 inches. It wants to take an inch off. That gives 11 inches, which is the actual physical length of our sides. The width of our opening was 13. It said to subtract 1/4 inch, gives us 12 3/4 inches. That will be the length of the front and the back. And then the height of the drawer opening was 6. It says to subtract 1/4 inch. That gives us 5 3/4. That will be the width of all our pieces. In other words, the height of the drawer. So since we're using sheep goods for this, okay? What that means, our order of operations in this shop goes thickness, then width, then length. That's the order in which we process material in here, okay? So since we're using sheet goods, we do not have to do thickness. Remember, we can buy sheet goods any thickness we want, and both faces of sheet goods are already flat, straight, and square. So we don't have to worry about that. So basically, when it comes to sheet goods, all we really have to deal with is width and length, okay? So that's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna do width first, all right? So I'm gonna move this over here to the table saw. At least I think it will. Hopefully I got the right one. All right. So what I have are two pieces of particle board. Okay, one of these will be enough to get our front and our back. The other one will be enough, excuse me, it's very dusty in here, will be enough to get our two sides, okay? So what we need to do right here is we need to rip our two pieces to 5 3/4 inch wide, which will end up being the height of our drawers, okay? So I've got the thin set to 5 3/4. I know the blade is square. I've got the blade height set at the right spot. We're ready to go. 5 3/4. Oh, there's our two pieces. That's how tall our drawer is going to be. Okay. Now we're going to go and cut to final length. All right. Now, I've been noticing there are some issues with being able to hear me when I'm standing a long way away from this cart. What I basically have here is a little cart with a laptop on it, and the wireless mic is plugged into the laptop. And when I get a certain distance away, it gets to the point where people don't seem to be able to hear me very well. So if you can't hear me too well, don't worry too much about it. This is a quick read at the miter saw. Last period, they said they could hear me. So we'll see if they were lying to me or not. So I've got my plans with my dimensions on it. I've got my boards. Now I go to the miter saw to cut the final length. Okay. So from last period, thankfully, save us a little bit. I have a stop set already at 11. I'm sorry, 12, 11. Already set at 11. Okay. So anytime we have to cut more than one board of the same length, we have to use a stop. Okay, that ensures that whatever we cut, if I cut 2 of these or 4 of these or 8 of these, they're supposed to be the same length. Even if we set the stop a little bit off, they'll all be the same length, which is what's important. Okay, so here's our two sides, 11 inches long. I'm going to go ahead and square these just because. Let that blade come to a stop, move it up against the stop. There's our two sides. Okay, now we have to move the stop to 12 3/4. For our front and our back. Bring that right down on top of my tape. Hold my tape in the spot. Land it. Pull it away, double step it. Always, always, always double step it. There we are. 12 3/4. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, I'm going to square the end of this board. It's good, so I normally don't have to, but I like to do it anyway, just because I don't know if the last person wants to get cut on this. So Right up to stop. There's the front or back. There's the front or back. All right, got our pieces. Got our plans. Okay, so we have our front and our back exactly the same length, even if they're a little off because we use a stop. We have our sides. They're exactly the same length. If they're a little bit off because we use a stop. Okay, so that's what's important. So from here, we need to start creating some joinery. We've done thickness, well, sheet goods, thickness was already there. Then we did width, then we did length. So now that all dimensional work is done, we start working on joinery, which means rabbets and dados, okay? So I'm gonna go, I think it's 4. We're gonna take a walk over the dado saw. Focus. All right. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear me over there. So here's what we want to do. This is what we're trying to do, we're trying to accomplish at the dado saw. Okay? I'll zoom this out a little bit so you can see. Okay. So what we need to do, this is going to be our front. This is going to be our back. These are going to be our sides. Somehow we need to make the connection between the sides and the front and back a little better than just a simple butt joint like this. Okay? So we're going to create a rabbet here and a rabbet here and a matching rabbet at the ends on the front and the back. That will accept the 2 sides. Okay? The rabbet itself is going to be 1/4 inch deep and 5/8 of an inch wide. You should know how wide it's going to be because the thickness of the board that fits in that rabbet is the width of the rabbet, 5/8. So the first thing we do is we're going to set up the blade. Okay? So there's more than one different type of dado saw blade. We happen to use what's called a stacked dado set. And a stacked dado set consists of the following things. 2 outside blades, a distinct left and right blade. Okay, they're distinct because on the left blade, all the teeth are ground, in other words, sharpened, so that the tooth points up and to the left. On the right-hand blade, the teeth are ground or sharpened, so every tooth or every other tooth points up to the right. So at the very least, we have to use these 2 outside blades, the left and the right. We can't use a single blade in this. It's a stacked dado set, not a table saw blade. Different animals. So we have to use at least this left plate and this right plate, okay? Each blade that I put in here represents 1/8 of an inch in width. So if I need 5/8 of an inch in width, I need 5 blades. So instead of spending a whole lot of money on 5 separate full blades with 15 teeth per blade, we put these chippers in there. And these chippers have 2 teeth, okay? Each chipper represents 1/8 of an inch. So there's my left blade, that's 1/8. There's a chipper, that's 2/8. There's another chipper, that's 3/8. Here's another chipper, that's 4/8. Here's the outside blade. That makes for a 5/8 inch wide rabbet or dado. Okay? When we tighten the blade on a table saw or a dado saw like this, all we do is snug it. Because the rotational forces of this machine, as soon as you turn it on, are going to tighten that nut even more. And if you tighten it down real hard and then turn it on, you may not be able to get it off the next time. Okay? So we have a dilemma here, actually. I want to put a rabbet along this edge, which means that I would have to place that end or that short edge against the fence. We can't do that. We always have to have a long edge against the fence. Okay, so we can't use the fence like this. We have to pull out the miter gauge, set it in the miter slot. Now we can do this. We've created a secondary fence that's 90 degrees to the regular width fence. Now we can place the long edge against it, and we can make a cut along the short edge. Okay. There's another problem. One thing we cannot do, excuse me, is use the miter gauge and the fence at the same time when making a cut. Okay, we can't do that. It's unsafe. And I need to know, or I need to set this up so that I'm consistently cutting in 5/8 of an inch. This way, 5/8 of an inch. So there's an easy way to do that. All you do is take a flat piece of scrap material and a clamp. Now what we can do is we can set our fence where we want, slide our board up to that stop. Now when we're physically making our cut, we're not up against the fence at the same time we're against the miter gauge. So there's a gap here between the end of the board and the fence. Okay, so I have a little thing. We do enough of these nightstands. I have a little thing that already has a 5/8 inch wide rabbet. I can use that to set this saw up. All I have to do is slide this up so it contacts the blade, slide the fence up to the end of it, and I'm set for a 5/8 inch wide rabbet. The depth of our rabbet, 1/4 inch, is already set from last period. So our blade height is already at a 1/4 inch. So all you have to do is sit here and cut our 4 rabbets. So there's our rabbits. Hopefully you can see them. Those rabbits will accept sides of the sides of the drawer. Okay. So now what we need to do is create the dado in here along the bottom edge of all 4 pieces to accept the drawer bottom. Okay. That's pretty straightforward as well. The only thing we really have to do is change out a stacked dado set, make a 1/4 inch wide dado. So we get our blades off. The arbor nut, careful not to drop it. If you drop it, it goes down in the dust collection system. And that's a pain to get out. Same thing with the blade, you want to drop that in there. So what I'll have here is just the 2 outside blades, no chippers. So with 2 blades and an 1/8 of an inch in width each, that'll make a 1/4 inch dado. It's going to be the same depth. It's going to be a 1/4 of an inch piece. And we can leave the blade height at where it is now. In other words, blade height determines depth on rabbets and dados. Okay. The only other thing we have to do is set the fence to the distance we want the dado to be from the bottom edge of the drawer, which is 3/8 of an inch. So let me bring this in a little bit. I have this handy dandy little step gauge that has little steps at different dimensions. And one of them is 3/8 right here. So all I really have to do is put this up against the fence and slide the fence over until that 3/8 mark is on the right side of the tooth. It's set and ready to go. Okay. So we've got our boards sitting here the way we want them. When we run dados like this, we have to use pushback. It's a requirement. And the way we like to do it is get 2 pads on there, tight against the fence, and try to keep some pressure directly over the blade or near directly over the blade. one thing you want to make sure of is once you make your pass, make sure you're completely clear of the blade before you bring it out of the way. We've had people in the past that don't clear the board and end up dragging it across the blade at the back of the blade and taking a big chunk out of the corner of the board. So we don't want to do that. All right, so let's cut potatoes. So the purpose of the dados, I have a little piece of scrap 1/4-inch plywood sitting right here. And this will give you an idea of what the dados are here for. Basically, that dado is going to accept the drawer bottom once we cut it. Okay, and if you put a front or a back and a side together like this, you should be able to see how that dado will support the drawer bottom all the way around. Okay, so there's how our drawer bottom works. All right, so we've got all of that stuff done. The next thing we do in these steps is create the drawer bottom itself. Okay, now we're not going to do that today, but there's something else I want to show you. Okay, so rabbets are not the only way to create. Let's see, I should be up to. Rabbets are not the only way to create drawers. There's box joints, there's dovetails, there's all sorts of things. Okay, so here's an example of a drawer. This is for one of the cabinets I'm doing for another class, intermediate and advanced class. So this is an example of another way to do drawer joints. Okay, the nice thing about this is not glued up or anything yet. It's just dry fit together. Okay, it doesn't fall apart. Okay, I can't do that with the drawer we're doing like in the nightstand. And the way this works, let me find one that's clean. Okay, is like this. This is called a locking rabbet. Okay, and here's the joinery involved in a locking rabbet. Okay, so what we have, let me get this, there you can see a little better. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. And a little bit down. Okay, so I'm trying to look at the screen the same time we're doing this. So this is an example of a locking rabbet. Okay, what we have here is we have a little 1/8-inch dado right here, a little 1/8-inch dado right here. This is just the dado for the drawer bottom. Okay, that's really not part of this whole animal. And then the mating piece looks like this. You can see, I'll put it on here so you can see it. All right, it kind of, well, basically it's a groove on the end of the board right here. Turn this up so you can see it. Okay, and then this little guy was cut off. Okay, so basically how this works, basically, is I'm trying to watch at the same time I'm doing it. And this is a very snug fit. Okay, it locks together just like that. You can kind of see how the joint works. Okay, so it's a nice joint because it's strong. It only pulls apart in one direction, and if you do it nice, it fits together really well. It's just a nice joint because one of the problems with drawers is the more you open and close a drawer, open and close a drawer, if it's done like we're doing our nightstand drawers with a rabbet like this, eventually, someday, probably sooner rather than later, okay, this is our drawer front right here. The more we pull on it, this joint's eventually going to separate. Okay, with this type of joint, we could pull in and out of it all day long, this way, this way, this way. It can't come out because it's locked in there. That's why it's called a locking rabbet. Okay, so that's drawer making 101. Inexpensive, cheap, easy, piece of cake, way to go, drawer making. We're going to continue this. I'm not sure if we're doing it tomorrow or not. I'll have to look. Okay, but we should be able to finish this bad boy sometime next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. Should be completely done, and we'll play around in here a little bit more. We've only got 2 weeks left of the quarter, so we will play around in here a little bit more and find something else we can do that you know what I mean. Okay. All right. So do me a favor. Make sure your name is in the chat window. Thank you for being here today. Take care of yourselves tonight, and I look forward to seeing you guys all here tomorrow. Have a great night. Tomorrow's Friday. Yay. The weekend's coming. All right. Bye, folks. Bye, guys.